Is there anyone out there who has ever tried to pick up or flirt with a celebrity? How did it go down? Successful or not? Eva Angelina came into my work tonight. As she was leaving I said, "Have a good night." She turned around, and I kid you not she said thanks and left. This guy, smooth as silk. My dad slept with Daryl Hannah back in the 90s. He was on a business trip flying cross country. Gets on the plane, finds his seat. Daryl is sitting next to him. They make small talk. Plane takes off. Daryl falls asleep. Her head slowly slides over until it's resting on my dad's shoulder. Dad decides he'll never get another chance, quickly rests his head on hers and falls asleep. Dad henceforth claims he slept with her, which is true. This is such a quintessential dad tale. My friend spotted Scarlett Johansson in a bar in NYC a few years back. My friend was already a little drunk, so he goes up to her and says, "You look a lot like Scarlett Johansson." He says she just kind of stared at him until one of her friends told him to leave. I'm sure that whole conversation played out a lot better in his head. On a family vacation as a teenager we had a stopover in LA. My brother happened to see Jessica Alba get into an elevator with her bodyguard. In an adorable show of courage he went over to the elevator to try to talk to her. All he managed to say was UHH. The bodyguard gave him an apologetic smile and hit the button for their floor, shutting the door in his face. I don't think I'll ever let my brother forget it. Not really trying to pick him up, but I tried unsuccessfully to joke with Jerry Seinfeld one time. He came into the movie theater I worked at, and after much deliberation, ordered a box of Raisinets and a bottle of water. Thinking I was being clever, I asked, "Really? No Junior Mints?" He just looked at me over the top of his $1 million sunglasses, shook his head and walked away. I'm sure he was laughing on the inside though. Dude, that was your chance to say, "Junior Mints are on the house," and just give them to him. That's how you pull off that reference. True story here. I used to attend bar in Rockaway, NJ. A film crew was in town filming scenes nearby for the station agent. All week the crew would come and hang out at my bar, have fun, dance around. They really were a good group of people. Good tippers too. So this one night Patricia Clarkson was hanging out the bar. She looked gorgeous. Also this particular night the crew had a meeting in our banquet room, I guess discussing the next few days shoots. So imagine an empty bar. Patricia Clarkson comes in from the banquet room and sits down at seat number 2. Seat number 1 is empty and is right next to the service bar entrance. She lights up a cigarette and I am eyeing up my opportunity to sit down next to her. We had made small talk earlier in the week, so I felt comfortable and confident to do this. I'm making my way over to seat 1, when all of a sudden this tiny man walks over and climbs up on seat 1. I got coke blocked by Peter Dinklage. My neighbor used to date Stevie Nicks. They did so much coke. My uncle repaired a few appliances at her house. He said she was floating every time her saw her. When the Avengers was being filmed here in Cleveland, me and my mom went to go check out the site of the filming, and right when we were able to get up the barrier to see the cast and crew, Chris Evans, in full Captain America gear, came out of this large tent. When my mom next to me shouts, "Hey Captain, you have a cute butt," right after she said that, he turned around and gave a big thumbs up to the crowd. Mom's pretty smooth. He's mostly a famous Irish actor, but I flirted with Robert Sheehan once while I was out with my best friend. Her sister is good friends with him, and he flirted back, but in a really forward kind of way that made me giggle like a schoolgirl, and I got all sweaty and nervous, so nothing happened. We're young. We're supposed to drink too much. We're supposed to have bad attitudes and shag each other's brains out. Kind of reverse, and it didn't happen to me, but it's a true story. Friend in the movie biz gets in an elevator with Jamie Lee Curtis. He says, "Hi Jamie Lee, we've met before." Without hesitating she replies, "Oh, did I frick you?" The correct response to that is nah. We agreed we'd wait till the next time we saw each other. I was at a party with the girl who played the secretary on 30 Rock. She was ridiculously hot. I tried my best to flirt, but I was fat at the time and kind of sklumpy, and she was so hot. It also didn't help that she had a boyfriend who was actually a Power Ranger at the time. How am I supposed to compete with that? Note to self, should have become Power Ranger like 5 years old. Self wanted. I used to live in Paul Rudd's hometown, and my friend worked at a local Family owned movie theater. I went to see a foreign film I don't even remember the name of, and I was the only one in the who got a ticket. I was bullcrapping at the counter with my friend and Paul Rudd walks in, gets his ticket to the same movie and walks in the theater. I asked my friend that was Paul Rudd, right, and he told me, yeah, he comes in all the time when he's in town to see his family. So I take my ticket and watch the movie, a few rows behind him. The movie's over, we get up to leave, and he comes up to me and says, hey, thanks for not being weird and taking pictures of the back of my head. And I said, how do you know I didn't? We laughed. I told him he was pretty. He told me he was in fact handsome. The end. I failed. I had a bunch of WWF or WWE or whatever it was called back in the early 90s wrestlers staying at the hotel I was working at while they were on tour. I was working in the sauna and swimming pool complex. Their show finished just before we closed for the night, but the boss agreed to stay open for them. She said I could stick around, but I could head off into the sauna with them. Keeping in mind this was Germany, where you don't wear any swimsuit or the like into the sauna. I went in and hung out naked with Ric Flair and a couple of other guys, talking about life and also college. Bizarrely enough, after the boss and I went with them to the hotel bar and had a few drinks, I met Hacksaw Jim Duggan and saw Hulk Hogan, but he was too surrounded by groupies to actually meet. It was a fun, but very surreal evening. I didn't flirt or pick up a celebrity, but I am told that I did have a religious experience with Carlos Santana. I wasn't even a year old when my parents and their friends went to this music festival. They stuck my mom with me and ditched her to go see some other band. She said whatever and went to see Santana. She said that because she had a baby with her, everyone in the crowd just let her go to the front of the stage. Finally she gets right up close to Carlos and he kneels down and blesses me. I'm basically a black magic woman now. My sister-in-law dated, and by dated I mean banged a few times, Joseph Gordon-Levitt for a week or two before he left to England to film Dark Knight Rises. She went to his house and sent us a selfie with the two of them in it. Lucky bee. Nice. A former co-worker's niece dumped Matt Dillon because she thought the whole fame thing was a bit annoying. Apparently she just wanted to be a quiet unassuming Goldman Sachs banker. You know, live a simple life. My friend's mom used to frick exhibit. I still don't know how she managed to pull that one off. I heard you like genitals, so I put some genitals in your genitals. This was back in the early 90s when Vegas was trying to make itself family friendly, which didn't work. My parents took my sister and I to Vegas for a vacation. We stayed in the Luxor Hotel. I think it had just opened at the time. Anyways, we had been there a day maybe and we were heading out on the town. I run from our hotel room to the elevator, as you're supposed to do as a kid, and hit the button. The doors open and I hop inside and press lobby. The doors close and the elevator starts going down. There's someone in the elevator with me. I look up and see this guy staring at little 5-6-year-old me. The guy looks familiar to me and I start talking to him as 5-6-year-olds do. Once we get to the lobby he stands and waits with me until my parents arrive. I say bye and my parents look starstruck. Life continues to go on and many years later my parents tell me that guy was Tom Cruise. My 5-year-old attempts at flirting with Tom Cruise succeeded for 5 minutes. Not really exciting, but I once met German Chancellor Angela Merkel at the Richard Wagner Festspiel music festival in Bayreuth, Bavaria. I told her I like her outfit, and she complimented me for my tie. This is the only post on here that made me hope the person actually got with the celebrity in question. Better luck next time, Holland. I got Trish Stratus's autograph about 12 years ago. I tell myself the only reason we never got together was because she wasn't into 9-year-olds. Or maybe because you have genital warts. I was buying vegetables next to Ellen Page but I didn't really realize it was her. I made a witty comment about carrots. She laughed and made a witty comment back. I realized who it was and froze. But I guess I never really had a chance, since I'm a guy. The chick from Paramore walked by me, made eye contact and smiled. Pretty sure she wanted it, but you know, I was busy and all. Charlize Theron once gave me the up and down look and a wink while walking through NYC once, so I got that going for me. Guess you can say it's getting pretty serious. I shamelessly flirted with Shannon Elizabeth once. She was nice about it, but very gently let me know it wasn't going anywhere. I saw Whoopi Goldberg on the 405 once when my family was visiting LA. I waved to her, and she waved back. Yeah, I saw Whoopi in a Best Buy in Charles Village when I was around 14. I was with a bunch of friends and left them, went right up to her and started talking. She was really friendly and before she left she gave me a kiss on the cheek. I still remember she had a handbasket filled to the brim with CDs. I had a buddy flirt pretty with Paris Hilton while she was filming that reality show in Arkansas. She and Nicole Richie were out at a local bar with film crews rolling, and he just said to heck with it and walked over to her, struck up casual conversation, then peppered it with the flirting. It took around 3 or 4 minutes and they were making out. If I recall correctly, part of their session was aired on an episode of the show. I have no idea if this counts, but my dad dated Mary from Peter Paul and Mary way back in the day. I was at a comedy club in San Francisco many years ago. I was pretty drunk and pointed out a blonde to my buddy. Hey man, she's cute. I'm going to go talk to her. I sauntered over and made some chit chat. She was friendly and a few laughs were had. Then my buddy came over and whispered in my ear, Dude, that is Tonya Harding. She looked different all dressed up, but after a couple closer looks, he was right. I did my best to chat a bit more and then said my buddy was waiting and I excused myself. Dodge a baton there. When I lived in Austin, Sandra Bullock offered me a drink. I said, no thanks. I'm not thirsty. She looked at me weird and walked away. That's as close as I've ever gotten. Flirted with John Vasquez quite a bit, but he mentioned a few times in passing that I was too young. Back in 2011 when I was 18. We still talk a bit. That's a name I haven't seen in a long time. Awesome. French steward walked into my shop with his beautiful wife and she purchased a few things while he stood in the corner, clutching some fancy designer bag close to his chest. I gave him a few winks, as this was during the third Dark from the Sun period and I was a big fan. He gave me a hard scowl. Guess he isn't attracted to nerdy straight men. That hard scowl is just his resting face. I was an adult bookstore manager before I went to college and we would occasionally have P-stars in to sign autographs and promote themselves when they were in town dancing. I met quite a few, flirted relentlessly with all of them, and got shot down by most of them. But a few, that select few, they kept the hope alive for the next one. My grandma was at a bar in Chicago and Frank Sinatra Jr. bought her a drink and was flirting with her, but being in butthole about it apparently, so she told him you'll never be anything close to what your father was, so stop trying, and left him by himself. One part of me is like holy crap grandma you're a badass, and the other part of me is like holy crap grandma why didn't you marry him and get rich? I was on the subway once and this girl got on who looked incredibly familiar. I noticed she was giving me the eye, which was especially unusual because no one makes eye contact on the New York subway. I wasn't going to do anything because I had a girlfriend. After she got off the train, a stranger turned to another stranger and said, I don't know if you care, but that girl who just got off was Shoshana from Girls. I still think about what could have been. Nelly Furtado came into a casual dining restaurant I was serving at in college with her entourage right before close a few years back. She was playing a Santa Slam event the next day and it was her birthday. There was about 15 people and I got everyone's dinner order and set to take hers last. I kneeled down to take her order. No clue what she said as I just stared into her eyes. She finished her order and I pulled myself a bit together and said, I'm so sorry but you'll have to repeat all of that. She knew exactly why and gave a shy giggle. I didn't press my luck after that. I love Nelly Furtado. I almost got into a fight with Justin Long at a florist shop on Mother's Day. I was in Washington waiting for a flight home. As I start walking down the ramp I hear a mother yell stop as a little boy runs up to me. So I stopped him and said let's wait for your mom here. Next thing I know my dream starts coming true. Natalie Portman comes running up to me like I'm some sort of hero. She thanked me a ton, then we had small talk for the next few moments as we boarded the plane. Her husband had showed up so I didn't do any flirting, but I was her hero that fine August day. I once met Izzy Suttie. She does stand up and plays Dobby in the Peep Show at a bar in Cardiff. Actually, it was her birthday and she was out with some other folks including Alan Davies from QI Jonathan Creek. We had a smoke and I told her I would totally drive to Hastings to buy bread for you, but I wouldn't be kissing and telling if it had gone anywhere. You picked the best thing to say. Gianna Michaels happened to be at this strip club my buddy and I went to. I watched her dance for about 15 minutes. Afterwards she was walking around the club saying hi to people. She kept getting closer and closer to us. Finally, she was standing right next to our table talking to another dancer. I couldn't stop staring at her. She caught me. I don't know what was in that whiskey, but I smiled at her. She came over and sat on my lap, her sweaty thighs soaking my pants. She just sat there looking at my face, biting her lip. I was caught in a conundrum. I had to choose between boobs and face. I went with boobs. I stared for about 10 seconds and she threw her head back laughing. "You're freaking adorable. I love it." Then she proceeded to shove her boobies in my face. At this point some guy came over and told her it was time to go. Without hesitation she got up and walked away. No bye or anything. Greatest night of my life. I doubt this counts and I don't know if you'd consider them a celebrity, but back when American Idol was relevant there was a season with a guy named Ace Young. I never watched that, but I knew about him because he was singing in a Thanksgiving parade. I shouted to him as he was trying to escape a large crowd, "Hey Constantine, come make out with me," and he stopped dead in his tracks, looked at me and came at me. Someone I was with got a picture of us. He was actually pretty nice. The Constantine joke was because he looked to me like someone in the previous season. Oh, I should mention I am a straight male. I tweeted Taylor Swift asking if she would let me take her to Taco Bell. She has yet to respond. Wait for her next album. There might be a song about you. You've been visited by the good policy grandpa. You will be blessed with good economics and healthcare, but only if you comment "sleep well Berno." If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.